How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Chuusotsu. Oh man, what an interesting one. I guess I got a preamble I gotta put out here just so you're aware. We have yet another cold going through the house. I think what's been going on is part of increasing a challenge I've set for myself to increase my health is I've been going out to working out a lot more. And every time we do, I take the family, and so like the boys go to daycare and then we go out to the gym. And it feels like every other week they bring home something, and this week they brought home like one of those mega colds, and this one's flavor is phlegm in the throat and like tear duct infection for them, and I'm starting to feel the symptoms, so it's very likely over the next week I'm going to be just making crap videos because of that, but I'll do the best I can. I'll force down some like cough drops if I have to, but just FYI, if I'm coughing a lot or if I'm rubbing my face a little bit, it's because I've got some stuff going on, so I apologize for that, but I'm still gonna make content. Anyway, last time we were here, interesting revelation is that, so we knew Arara had an issue with running away from her problems, and it ultimately is what led her to her disease. Like, she had her disease, her bad reaction, but she stayed out of school because she kept reinforcing the idea that she was still sick, but she was actually suppressing like her health and trying and persuading everybody that she was still ill so she could continue to stay home, enjoy her manga, and not have to worry about her friends. And that's what ultimately led her to her failing of the test and becoming a Chuusotsu. But just because she's been able to kind of bridge the gap with Arara and Koiro doesn't mean that those problems have gone away, and we got a very strong implication that now that they know that they can operate the time leaps, that they can continue to synchronize because they like each other and they don't want to be away from each other, Arara has subconsciously now accepted this idea that like, now that she can repeat the same week over and over again, she doesn't ever have to move on. She doesn't have to face problems. She doesn't have to try anymore. So, yeah, this is not good. I'm worried that she's going to end up walking down the same path again. She's already started. And if she does that, what's it going to do to her friends? Like, are they going to think it's their fault? What if this ends up being a wedge that starts driving them apart after they've been working so hard to be together? It's a problem. Microphone's over here. Come here, microphone. So, we'll have to figure out what that's going to imply, what that's going to translate into. But for now, everything's lovely and fun and happy, so let's go. Oh yeah, I guess one other thing. The Kokoro, the neighbor, younger girl who has issues because she lives by herself, she has been treating them differently in the different time leaps. So there's something fishy going on there. And we've noticed an uptick in Chuusotsu, like, aggression, like, against them. So perhaps these time leaps aren't perfect time leaps after all, but maybe they are stumbling between dimensions, or perhaps they're stumbling between, or maybe their actions are having like side effects that they don't actually perceive. But will be interesting to find out more. So let's jump in and find out what's going on. So, Miss Koiro.
Arue. おはよう。おはようございます。さっきまでお昼だったから、おはようの挨拶するのって変な感じですね。
After jumping through space and time, they met again at the Love Hotel district. She went directly there, no doubting for a second that she'd run into Koiro. She'd held even less fear of this unnatural phenomena than she did last time. Rather, her positive outlook on it was becoming set in stone. Why? Because it wasn't something she was passively getting caught up in. Nor was it a 1 in 100 gamble. It was something she actively worked for. The synchronization of not just the will, but the heart itself. Once she was convinced she could accomplish this, there's no hesitation left in Marisugawa Arara.
私、絶対に成功すると思ってました。タイムリープ。というか、失敗したら困っちゃいますよね。また3杯級の人生に逆戻りなんて、まっぴらごめんですから。
She let out a dry laugh. They headed for the fountain plaza at the mall. It didn't take long for them to find Kokoro.
あれ？あの人って。
She wasn't alone. A middle-aged man with layers of fat on both his belly and face was talking to her.
小色さん、あのおじさん知ってるんですか？
And she's got the bead around her neck now.
確か、心が店長さんって言ってた人だよ。
They looked on from a distance. A man whose armpits were drenched with sweat next to a cute little girl befitting of her age. It was not a good match. Yeah, it sounds bad, doesn't it? They looked over at the large man. He had the build of an orc. He had his hair seemed plastered down with grease or some kind of hair product. Ugh, he got off the impression that it'd be better to try not to breathe around him. I get so many bad vibes. Following after Arara, Koiro turned to look after the two of them again. She didn't look at the man, though. She took a glance at the glass bead tied around Kokoro's neck. Oh. Hello. They arrived at their room. Arara was relaxing on the sofa. Yay! Barbecue! And then Hollow's gonna appear and they're gonna not listen to her. Converting food into science. I love it. Yeah, see, look at this. Aure is just throwing caution to the winds now. Oh yeah, that's the game you want to play. And so they played, oblivious to the passing of time. They had tons of fun. They'd already gone through 3 time leaps. It was the 4th week of their room share. They had various experiences, so what left the biggest impression on Marisugawa Arara? None other than the fact that she actually made friends. And the ability to redo her life, even if it was just for a week. Yes, indeed, a sanctuary. A place that removed all outside pressure and provided her with an iron wall of complete protection, until they no longer could synchronize for some reason. As long as she stayed behind it, she would remain invincible and free from invasion. As such, this place turned more and more into a sanctuary. Oh boy. The days sped forward, continuing on from before. Tuesday was the same as Monday. Wednesday was the same as Tuesday. Play, eat, read manga, play, draw manga, play. Yesterday was directly connected to today. One could also say that they simply didn't switch gears. Is it sad that Arara has now become the responsible one? Should have offered to help her. This had been Marisugawa Arara's style as of late. Curl up in bed, lay down the surface to write on, draw out a rough outline. She'd pull the blankets over her head and work on her manga within its warmth. Excuse me. It was her time of happiness. Adding snacks made it positively divine. Oh man. She reached into a massive pile of snacks she had bought. By using soul points, it was possible to buy more snacks than even the most notorious of gluttons could eat. She had spent over 50,000 points on them this time around. Fetch. She clearly went overboard. At this rate, she'd quickly run out of soul points. 20,000 points were required per attempt at the assignment. However... Oh, it's such a dangerous way to be living. She justified it like that. She consumed snacks, she gulped down cola, she gained weight. Well, that's kind of okay, but she's not doing it the right way. Marisugawa Arara started to grow fat. Oh no. Even her weight returned to normal when she slept through time. Here's an interesting... Okay, and also, just FYI, fat in Japan is not the same as fat here. Like, oh my gosh. I was actually watching an anime, I think it's called Hell Girl. Really a fascinating one. I just kind of found it randomly. I watched the first 2 episodes, but the whole first episode revolved around a girl who was being made fun of for being fat. Trust me, she was not depicted as fat. Like, maybe like slightly flabby compared to what I know, but good grief. But I also learned that I was watching a video of a vlogger who goes to Japan, and he talked about how when he gained weight, it was a big deal over there, even though he like what was like 20 pounds overweight. Like everyone commented about it, and like doing the extent of like poking his belly and like commenting like, why are you fat? Like do you just like food too much, or do you not want to exercise? Like aren't you worried you're gonna die? Like really, really pushy about it, which like over here would be horrendously rude. But he explained that he thinks, and I'm guessing he's probably right, that because like only about 4% of the Japanese like population is considered overweight. Like it's just such it's a thing that's just super uncommon. And it's interesting too because like there's two types of overweightness. There's the kind that comes from just like eating copious amounts of crap and not exercising. That can lead to fatness. But then for a lot of people like me, it's actually a lot more of a genetic factor where I've been losing weight because I've been really working hard on a diet. But my diet requires me to eat nothing compared to what most people eat. Like, you might consider a normal meal to be like, I don't know, like a bowl of cereal or a piece of toast. Or like a sandwich. Like, a piece of toast is kind of a meal for me now. And speaking of toast, I've severely limited the amount of carbs I eat. So I almost eat no bread. I've cut almost all my favorite foods out. I don't eat noodles anymore. I don't eat pizza anymore. And if I do eat something, it has to be whole grain in a very small measured amounts. And then the rest I stack up on vegetables and protein. And even the protein, that's kind of restricted, just not very much. And it's working well, but like I've had to make some severe cutbacks on my diet. And it's only going to get more. Like I'm building towards what I need to do to be able to really get a handle on myself again. So by the end of this, I'm going to be living off of probably a third of what an average person eats. And, you know, because of the way my body is, that'll be what maintains my weight at a healthy level. Where most people that I know can eat 3 times as much as I do and maintain a healthy weight. Like, there is a factor there that it's not just, oh, you just need to eat and exercise. For somebody at my level, there's something more. It's actually considered a disease, a genetic disorder at this point. Not everybody who's large has that diagnosis because it has a lot to do with lifestyle. But for people like me, you have to really take an extreme lane in order to really maintain yourself and to really get to where you need to be. So, just FYI, like, it's not that people who are large all the time, especially out here in the West, are just super lazy. That can be a possibility, but there's also a lot of other factors that get into it. And so, like, that's something, if I ever go to Japan and I ever, like, spend, like, time there, I'm sure I'm going to explain that to people. Because it's just a concept that seems to be alien to the culture. And that's part of why I really think it shows the evidence of the genetic factor. I feel like you could claim it's diet and food portion sizes in America, but there's plenty of people who control themselves. There's plenty of ways that you can not indulge yourself. And there's plenty of people who do indulge themselves who can still maintain a good body fat ratio. So there's more going on than just that. If it were all the same for every single person, then the answers would all be simple and be the same for everybody, but they're not. Anyway, blah, 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 ranting over. She's getting fat. I highly doubt it, because I think her level of fat is still quite normal, because she's freaking a twig. Her laziness did not. She grew fat. John Stuart Mill once said, "It is better to be a human being dissatisfied than a pig satisfied." Ooh, Wow, that's kind of a cold but true motto. That's really harsh. Pursuing physical pleasure brought about the downfall of man and Rome. Pursuing intellectual pleasures carried them out with a free mind and antagonized over them when they were the things that made us human. Matsugawa Aure's current behavior was clearly and evidently. Well, like, there's no problem with that dream, but you're coupling it with like utter like disregard for all responsibility. She turned her eyes to the desk. There were studying materials laid out on top of it. She fell silent. She moved them aside while clearly keeping her head turned away. She's blatantly just ignoring it. Could you imagine though she did apply herself to her studies, like, and she just time leaped for like a year? She could really make some progress. Oh, scared the crap out of me. That was loud.
大丈夫。忘れてないし。ただ、今はちょっと。
Aure. She made excuses for herself. 10 hours had passed and she began drawing her 4-panel manga. Single-mindedly, stoically, she screwed up a sketch a little bit. The outline was off by a tiny amount, unnoticeable to an amateur.
ダメ。こんなんじゃ。
She balled it up and tossed it into the wastebasket. She wouldn't compromise. Even her fingers would hurt if they touched the pen. Even if her wrist was getting tired. She had never once considered it painful to draw manga. Instead, she found her fighting spirit flame up every time she hit a wall. Why couldn't she draw as skillfully as this person? Why couldn't she wrap up her story as neatly as that person? She kept mulling over it, and when even that didn't get her to where she wanted to be, instead of losing interest, Marishagawa Arara would be left in awe by the sheer depth of manga. This was why she couldn't give up on it. Even if she kept it at 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, her passion wouldn't be extinguished. She suddenly had a thought.
公務員になったとして、漫画続けられるのかな?
She had a single-minded faith in manga. These were the only times where Marishagawa Arara transformed into a dissatisfied person. On the 6th night,
ちょっと休憩。さすがに肩が、というか手首が、関節に爆弾を抱えたアスリートのように。
This is sad in a weird way. Like, it's not like making you want to cry sad. It's more of like it hurts because I've seen this type of attitude in myself at times. I've been really lucky that I don't have a very addictive personality. I've been lucky that even at my worst, I still had a drive to keep myself productive, even if it was just a little bit. That drive is pretty big, like pretty large now. Like, I push myself and I sacrifice things in order to get other things done, like my YouTube channel. There's no way I could do this if I didn't have drive and push myself. And then I'm going to plan on going back to school next year, and that's going to be challenging because I've been out of it for a couple of years, but I'm determined to go and finish my education and, you know, start like getting into the workforce and contributing in new and exciting ways. And I'm lucky that that was something that I grew up having, and I was taught it, and I embraced those teachings. I've had good examples in my life, and I've learned through trial and error that you can of the lazy path and the working hard path, and I know which one brings real happiness. And so it is kind of heartbreaking because I've also seen people who take this path, and it's really frustrating. It's frustrating, especially because you want to do what you can to help them. So you reach out to them, you give them opportunities, you give them encouragement, you give them chances, and then they disappoint you. And sometimes that can even drag your name down. If you, for instance, if you give them a job on your recommendation and then they become the most problematic employee, that reflects on you. It's like you take a hit. I've taken hits for people I care about, and it can be so hard and so frustrating to watch that. And yet there's not much you can do. Just be there and hope that they eventually step up to the plate and take that swing and learn that even if you strike out, trying had its own rewards, and it leads you to want to be better. Man, I'm getting preachy. There we go, preachy time. She flopped under her bed. After stretching for a while, she pulled out her smartphone.
あの掲示板、どうなってるかな?
The anti-unmarked message board. She went ego surfing on the site. At the very first thread, she already felt like she'd just taken a hammer blow to the head. There's no need to let Chuusotsu take a reevaluation. The reevaluation should only be available to people who lost their jobs due to inevitable circumstances. Only people who lack self-control and can't plan out their future become Chuusotsu, so there's no use in having them take a reevaluation. I doubt I'd be this cruel, but I do wonder sometimes, do I have this attitude towards people? I was just talking about how frustrating it can be to watch people who just decide to be content with what they have and not push and not strive for growth. But does that mean I'm looking down on them? I have empathy and feelings for them, but is that pity? Because pity is pride flipped on its head. Instead of compassion, it's more about like, well, I'm glad I'm not you. That's dangerous for me, because I don't want to be coming off like that. And there's always a reason. There's stuff that happens in the background for people who are struggling. It's so rarely just pure laziness, or just like casual, just like discontent. Like there's usually an underlying problem that's going on that you can't see, and so it's hard. You've got to find that balance of like wanting to support and help encourage people to find their like inner strength, but also not looking down at them like this, because this is definitely cruel and it feels wrong. But wasn't I just saying something very similar about a minute ago? Dang. More like they're stupid. They probably stopped playing around all day without even thinking about their reevaluation. LOL. She stopped breathing. Her body stiffened up. It wasn't because of the insults to Chuusotsu. It was the instant she saw the word reevaluation. Forgetting to breathe for a while, Arara exhaled just before she would have suffocated. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead. Her body felt cold. She reflexively shuddered. It was similar. Practically the same. It was the same feeling she'd experienced back then. Wrapped up in blankets. Pampered by her family. The period when she allowed herself to do wrong. The period she vowed never to repeat. She swiftly jumped out of bed.
私たちはただの中卒じゃない。あの頃の私じゃない。だってそうだよ。そうでしょ？ねえ、そうだよね。あの頃の誰からも存在を認めてもらえない私とは全然違うじゃない。
Oh, Aure, you are different, but you're sliding.
今の私は友達だっているし、家族のために自分のその罪を償うための努力だって。
You know that's not true. She glanced over at her desk. There were no studying materials on it. Instead, there was partially written manga manuscript.
これからだからやり直しはいくらだってできるんだから。
So as Aure said that, she realized something.
そうだよ。やり直しタイムリープ。
Oh no.
私はただの中卒じゃないんだ。
A feeling started to well up inside Marisugawa Arara. Invincibility. Omnipotence. In the past, Arara was just a tiny little girl crushed under the weight of her own powerlessness. But now, Marisugawa Arara had gained the support of the Soul Link system. She might very well have been an invincible Chuusotsu at this point.
なんでその大げさな感じの声出して。
Can you help Arara?
ミュージカルの練習。
起こしちゃいました。ごめんなさい。ちょっとゴキちゃんが出て。
Oh no! She started panicking.
ゴキは世界統括者の手下であり、祖国殲滅すべき。あれは戻ってはいけない。あれは四天王の中で最も強力な魔獣。
何取り乱してんですか、ゴキごときで。いや、そこまで怯えなくても。
Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle. The dreaded R word was quickly scurrying past Aura's feet.
四天王降臨。
どうしたの？大声出して。
コイロさん、ゴキとエンカウント。急ぎ現世からのご退場を。
Yeah.
何をためらう？これはボスからの命令。子分、早急にゴキを殲滅せよ。
So cute.
私だってゴキブリ怖いよ。
Oh no! Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle. Smoosh. She spanked it with a nearby object.
ある。振り回さないで。体液が飛ぶから。
Painted after seeing the carcass. Their daily lives were not without thrills. They felt neither too hot nor too cold. It was just enough to warm their hearts, and peaceful enough to lull them into stupor. As a result, Marisugawa Arara no longer remembered that passion-fueled spur of motivation that burned ever so brightly in her just moments earlier. And so she tried to trace back the footsteps of her memories. She tried, then hurriedly stopped. Yet that was the proper course of action to take, in order not to lose sight of herself. On the final day's challenge, Why did you go to Arare wish for this? One more week, please.
なんすか、これ。
She was frozen in place in front of the soul dispenser.
どうかしましたか？
いや、なんかおかしいんすよ。お嬢様方がいらっしゃるまでマシンは未使用だったはずなのに、ソウルリンク回数9回って普通じゃないっす。
よくわからないですけど、バグったとかじゃないですか？
バグだとしたら自動的に本社にデータが送信されるはずなんすけど、そんなログは残ってないんすよね。
A lot of leaping. She tilted her head in confusion.
まあバグじゃないならいいじゃないですか。それより課題とやらを教えてください。
On the 6th week, Marusuga Arara made a suggestion. She said that they shouldn't tell Hollow about the time leaps, because Hollow is a member of the QUOLIC company. If the company found out that the girls were using time leaps to extend the assignment's deadline, they might get penalized. If the soul dispenser was shut down, they wouldn't be able to leap anymore. It would be game over at that point, so they kept it all secret from Hollow. This wasn't a plan for the sake of completing the assignment. It was a plan to protect their sanctuary. Their plan seemingly resulted in success, and so on the 10th week, Marusuga Arara went right back to manga.
できた。
Leaning back in her chair, she stretched out and yawned. On top of the desk was a properly proofed 4-panel manuscript. She stared at it with a satisfied grin.
我ながらかなり面白いネタかも。
She was enjoying her life of manga. And then, Arara came back into the room with Koiro.
見てほしいものがある。
Ooh. She opened up her notebook and brought it over to her, her voice unable to conceal her joy. Marusuga Arara took it from her. It was the same old picture diary. The contents involved her going to the tower along with Koiro.
アララがね、すごい発見をしたん
What's
だって。
this? She puffed out her largely non-existent chest. Low blow.
発見って何ですか？これを見る限りだとよくわからないんですけど。
ポイズンパルスには指向性が存在した。
はい？
最初から説明する。今日アララはコイロメンバーを随伴させ、鉄塔付近を調査していた。
Okay.
やはり鉄塔付近は大きく反応。ポイズンパルスが強い証拠であるので、
Ooh.
立ち入り禁止のフェンスを乗り越え、
They really went
鉄塔
for
の
it.
直下を探査することにした。
花からアンチ社会的行為が満載ですけど。
しかし、ここからが奇妙。ペンデュラムの揺れは大きくなるどころか、
Whoa.
鉄塔のちょうど真下で、
Did that mean that time was stopping?
この時点でアララは気づいた。天才だから。ポイズンパルスには指向性が存在する。かなり広範囲に作用するものであるのは確かだが、
Oh,
お
so
そらく直下方向への指向性が比較的鈍いのだと。
so if you went underground, you might be able to escape its influence.
これは革命的発見。次のノーベル電波賞はアララに違いない。
I'm pretty sure there's no Nobel Prize for electromagnets. It's magnetics. It's more for physics. You can just have like subcategory for electromagnetics, but I don't think it's specifically that. I think it's handed out based on the discovery.
はあ。
Wholly disinterested.
とにかく何かしらの成果があったんですよね。よかったじゃないですか。おめでとうございます。
Proud. She once again puffed out her fictional chest, her fictional bust.
それで同胞の方は？
いいですよ。じゃ
Araya showed them the manuscript she just finished.
漫画。
4コマ漫画だね。これは萌え系だっけ？
She handed them the manuscript. There were only 4 panels, so they quickly finished reading it. For how much work it took, Araya felt a little sadness here. But right now, the most important thing was the kind of reaction her readers would give her.
これは続きが
It's like
ある？
it's one page.
特 特に続きというのは考えてないですけど。
その、私は面白いと思ったよ。
They seemed to be trying not to hurt her. It was different from what she expected. The only character was the cat-eared poster girl vampire, Mimi, of whom she was very proud. First panel, I find myself lusting for blood on the night of the full moon, says Mimi with a telling grin. Second panel, she walks around town at night in search of blood. There are various restaurants nearby. Third panel, she's stuffing her face with strawberry crepes at a crepe stall. This stuff is great. Wonder what I should eat next. Fourth panel, I've spent so much time walking around that it's almost morning now. I have to get back home before I turn to ash, Mimi exclaims as she hurries home. Reading over it again, Arara thought to herself,
Tempure.
yeah, there's really not much there, huh? The Gyu 4-panel strip felt too familiar. It was just a slice of everyday life with nothing particularly interesting about it. Normally, there would be more story to follow up on this.
書いてる時はテンション上がってて気づかなかったけど、まだまだ頑張らないとですね。これじゃあ。
同胞漫画に一生懸命なのもいいとは思うです。でもあれは
Good girl.
あれ？あれって何ですか？
Good. Her friends are going to be here for her. She looked confused.
ああ、課題のこと？それについては半ば答えは出たじゃないですか。もちろんタイムリープで逃げ切り一択ですよ。そもそも哲学なんて考えてやるもんじゃないですよ。悩んだ人が行き着く場所が哲学なんです。まあ自分でも何言ってるかわかんないんですけどね。
Oh. The two of them were silent. Marusugawa Arara noticed this change in mood.
私はそうしたいと思ってます。だって楽しいじゃないですか、この生活。不安もないし居心地がいいじゃないですか。
In a life of endless fun, I think you'd get bored pretty quickly.
それに課題とかクリアしなきゃいけない問題ってなんていうか、
In this regard, life's like a video game where like it can be really fun to like use a cheat code or an exploit in a game. Like it lets you have a blast and go and do things you normally couldn't do, like kill all your enemies in a single strike, run across the entire map in like a minute, being able to fly when you shouldn't be able to, beating the game in like a fraction of the time it should take. But is that really fun? Maybe at first. But isn't the whole point of the game the journey? Isn't the whole point of life the journey? The real joys come from knowing what you've overcome and the progress that you make, and like being able to do something that adds to humanity, whether that be an art or a research or simply just supporting people, being there for people. I think an immortal life, like if you ever got the chance to be immortal, if you didn't give yourself goals and things to work towards, I think it'd be torture eventually. And I think that's what Arara and Koiro are trying to feel. I think that they're not content with just repeating the same week over and over anymore. I think they want to figure out how to move forward with their friendship, with their lives.
めんどくさい。とにかく私は続けたいです。この3人での生活を。
After they left Marusugawa Arara's room,
小色さん、ちょっと話がある。
アルエのこと？
Arara nodded.
プライバシーに関わることだから話さずにいようと思っていたけど、小色さんも友達だし。
Arara kept her hands behind her back and looked to the side, fidgeting. Koiro giggled. She couldn't help but break into a smile.
何？
No.
何でも言って。
では聞いてくださいです。アルエさんが何を目的にルームシェアに応募したのか。
In the shopping district, a young girl was making her nightly rounds. She had her face tilted downward. Let's party all night long. A girl with a gaudy head passed right by. She was clearly still in the mandatory education age range. They passed right by. She didn't even see her. Koiro would normally call out to a girl like this, but she was lost in thought now, staring down at the damp asphalt.
再検査か。
She mentally reviewed what Arara had told her. Number 1. Marusugawa Arara applied for the room share with the intent of passing her re-evaluation. 2. The root of her motive seemed to be tied to the past failures of sort. 3. The re-evaluation was a way to atone for the sin she committed against her family as a result of said failure. 4. However, the Marusugawa Arara she knew had an unending, monogamous love for manga. 5. It didn't seem like she had put any effort toward her re-evaluation up till now. These points made Koiro worry.
アルエは本当にこのままでいいのかな。
No, she won't.
罪を償うって何があったのかわからないけど、そもそも家族とはよく話し合ったの？
Once again, I wonder if Koiro is going to be the vehicle of progress.
相手がそれを望んでなきゃ何をしても罪滅ぼしなんてできないんだよ、アルエ。
She mulled over it. Various thoughts floated through her head. However,
私には何もできない。それは多分アルエ自身が解決することだから。
fair point that. Koiro felt powerless. She felt an onset of a headache, perhaps due to all the thinking she'd just done. All that mental activity had also roused her hunger. Smelling something sweet in the air, she moved her gaze in its direction and smiled, remembering Arara's 4-panel manga.
すいません、一つください。
Anglo-Saxon? It's a Westerner? Which one would you like?
それじゃあいちごクレープを一つ。
She bit into the crepe. The sweetness of the cream and the sourness of the strawberry made a flavorful combination in the slightly crisp crepe, turning into a shortcake in her mouth.
おいしい。
Her lips naturally curled up into a smile. She didn't want to hog the flavor this rich all to herself. She told herself that she'd bring the other two here tomorrow. She grew excited, but the feeling didn't last. Thoughts of Marusugawa Arara's situation quickly overtook her mind.
アルエの問題は解決してほしい。欲しいけど。
Ooh,
そ
interesting.
の後は
So now we're gonna
ど
find
う
out
するんだろう。
what's the definition of friendship. What's more important? Maintaining a lifestyle that you love with the people you love, or possibly sacrificing that in order to help a friend really progress and fulfill her dream, or at least understand her dream.
また1週間前に戻るの？戻ったらアルエの罪滅ぼしまで。タイムリープ。
The time leads to trouble.
タイムリープって、私たちはどうしてタイムリープをするの？この1週間はいつ終わるの？終わったら私たちはどうなるの？
She didn't want to think about it. The thought of what would happen after the time leap terrified her. Her eyes began to wander aimlessly, before settling on a certain storefront. She spotted someone familiar. It was the woman she talked to several weeks ago. Waiting to escape her own fears, she walked over to the woman, wanting to escape. What is it, young lady? When she drew closer, Koiro was certain it was her. She remembered the ring the lady had shown her before. She didn't seem to remember Koiro, though. Well, that was only natural, but it seemed to still made her feel sad. However, she thought she'd still try to make friends with her.
お姉さんはお嫁さん役の人なんだよね。
How? Why would you? The woman grimaced. Noticing this, Koiro immediately tried to make a conversation.
聞いたんだ。そのスカウトの人に。
No, that's not what I mean. Why would you say that out loud?
ダメだったかな。
Koiro shrunk back after being yelled at by the woman. Well, mister, you heard her just now, didn't you? Oh, lonely no, sorry. She let out a long sigh. What a pain. My sealed points were going to return to normal next month, too. Well, I guess it's as good a time as any. That's right, I'm a lawful false wife. I'm a fake who becomes someone's wife every night. As if redoing her own entrance, she declared all that in a loud voice.
それは知ってるけど、潮時って
You said it all. You said all that without knowing what it meant, right? Well, that's okay. Even if you know who you're talking to, you shouldn't just blurt out stuff like that. It's an unspoken rule of the night streets.
ごめんなさい。
Droop. She cast her gaze to the ground. No, I mean, I just never thought I'd meet my end at the hands of a clueless girl like you. Talk about karma. I have a request. She turned her back to Koiro and folded her arms. The ring on one of her fingers glinted with reflected light. Could you leave me alone?
なんか、ごめんなさい。
Koiro turned away with her shoulders still drooped. As she did, don't get caught by some weirdo recruiter, okay? As Koiro walked halfway down the street, a sweet smell filled her nose.
そうだ。お姉さんにクレープ差し入れしよう。
Though she didn't really understand why, Koiro knew she had caused the lady problems. She bought a strawberry crepe in the form of apology. She returned to the place where she parted ways with the lady. There was still a person standing there in the same exact spot.
お姉さん。
She approached the person and stopped right in front of her. Girl in the dress. A young girl now stood where the previous lady used to be. She seemed to be around Koiro's age. She was wearing a red dress. No, it was more that she was being made to wear a red dress. Its size was too completely wrong, with one would rightly suspect the tailor to have been blind. The shoulder cloth had fallen all the way down to her elbow, and her sleeves were completely rolled up.
ねえ、ここにドレスを着たお姉さんがいなかった？
Who knows? An improperly sized dress? The girl wearing it was in constant danger of having her chest exposed by its drooping cloth. If this is Kokoro, I'm going to have a fit.
そっか。君なら知ってるかと思ったんだけど。
But this particular dress was...
お姉さんと同じドレス着てるから。お姉さんと同じお嫁さんのジョブの人かと。
Oh. It's alright now.
もうって？
It's nothing. Anyway, I don't know anything about that lady. I'm just a Chuusotsu, you see. She smiled and showed off the back of her hand. There wasn't anything on it.
そっか。ごめんね。
Don't worry about it. More importantly, though, you look like a Chuusotsu yourself. Let's do our best to make our lives just a little bit better, okay?
ありがとう。
Koiro noticed something familiar in what the girl had said.
少しでもいい人生。変なことばっかり聞いてごめんね。君は素晴らしい人生ってどんな人生だと思う？
That's not something you ask a Chuusotsu.
ごめん。でもどうしても知りたいことなんだ。
A wonderful life, huh? Let's see. Well, I could be totally off the mark here, but I'd say it's a life where you get to be the wife of someone you love.
なんか
Huh? It's important, you know? Becoming a wife grants you the right to spend the rest of your life with the person you love. I feel that's what it means to take care of oneself.
男の人を好きになるってまだよくわかんない。
Then how about someone who's not a guy?
女の人でもいいっていうこと？
Well, I was just saying whatever came to mind.
わかった。恋するのは人じゃなくてもいいっていうことだ。
Sure, that's a step you can take in that logic. That was quite the imaginative logical leap you made there. Glad that we're on the same page here. You're a bit of an odd girl, aren't you?
そうなの？
Yep, 100% odd.
そうなんだ。
Koiro and the girl then parted ways in the busy streets. They'd only spent a few minutes talking. It was such a brief time that Koiro didn't notice the ring on the ground at the girl's feet. So, what the fetch is that about? Was that the same lady?
起きた
And if that was, what the heck? Did you like regress in time somehow? Maybe the time leaping thing isn't exclusive? Ooh. Oh, that can't be it though, because she didn't leap back in time. She just was like a different person, or like she changed her form somehow. It's weird. She rose slowly from her bed. So sharp rays of sunlight were passing through the gaps in the curtain. Judging from their intensity, there were not the soft rays of morning.
12時
Also known as noon.
あわー久々にこんな時間に起床
Oh man.
一日の始まりからしてギルティーいつもなら言わざるを得ないこの状況だけど
She turned her gaze to her desk. There were 2 manuscript sheets resting on it. Her lips naturally curled up into a smile. They were the fruits of her labor, or perhaps Aure's way of turning her anguish into positive results. She had created 6-panel force strips in a single night. Her drawings were still rough around the edges, but she was confident that her punchlines had transcended the realm of stale, generic quips. Thinking them up had been no easy task. Her passion helped her overcome the hardship of creating them. It took almost until dawn, but she finally accomplished it.
でもさすがに体は正直まだあちこちにペインが残って
She gave her shoulders a rub while turning her head in circles. She could feel her fatigue. Perhaps this was how middle-aged men felt after a hard day of work. Even so, strangely enough...
そっかネタを変えても微妙に助長して思えるのはミミちゃんの周りがみんな賑やかな子ばかりだから誰か一人くらいおとなしい子でも入れたら逆にいいアクセントになって
I think she's learning a little bit.
っていうと無表情の無口キャラ違うそれだと明るい作品世界から浮いちゃう気が声がちっちゃいいつも恥じらい顔の子、何を言ってるのか聞こえないんだけど耳を近づけて聞いてみると実は毒舌とか
It's a little dark, but it's kind of a cute idea actually. Like a girl who's like really quiet and she like mutters under her breath and like most of the time you're just like okay whatever, but if you actually listen she'd be like saying you're a terrible person and wishing you'd die.
なんか答えっぽいの見つけたかも
She had a flash of inspiration. She still hadn't even left her bed. The ideas came naturally whenever she woke up, proving that Aura's brain, whether it was asleep or awake, was dominated by her creations.
このアイデアすぐに何かに書かなきゃ
I do that actually. Like I'll have like flashes of insight that kind of hit me in the most random times, and you just gotta write them down quick before you forget. A mixture of panic and purpose made her spring into action. She hurriedly sat down at her desk.
紙もうなんでこういう時に鍵って手元にないの
She pulled out the drawer, and out they came. Arithmetic workbooks, kanji workbooks, a book on the history of Japan censored. Oh, yeah. This thing is that censored wasn't like the type of history of Japan they study in school now, or is it censored because it's like in this dystopian type future? Both cases, like I don't know for sure, but like my impression has been that like there are parts of Japanese history that they gloss over. And it would make sense, because there's parts of American history that they gloss over. I never learned in the textbooks about the annexation of Panama and Hawaii and Guam, which were all done for effectively economic reasons. And very unlawfully. What about the American-Mexican War, where we took a lot of territory, including things like California and Texas, unlawfully from the Mexicans, which is really dirty because like Mexico decided to go rise up against Spain in revolution, and we like kind of supported them, but didn't like throw our troops over there. We just kind of like gave them weapons, and they overthrew the Spanish. And then before they could even really establish themselves, we declared war on them to take territory that we wanted. And no one talks about that. And it was like blame the Maine on Spain, you know, that kind of thing. It's just all using propaganda to fuel like a drive to like go to war that would benefit us greatly. World War I and II even, like, you gotta admit, we played our cards right as a nation. Like, we helped, and we definitely put troops on the ground, and they risked their lives, and we played a very important role in both those wars, but we really came out of there without losing much. Like, we spent resources, but we more than made up for it in collecting debt that we gathered from the nations that we were able to help defeat. We were never bombed. We never had to see, like, destruction of our own, like, territory. You know, like, as far as wars go, we handled those pretty well. Vietnam and Korea are a different story. That was a large expenditure of resources that led to effectively nothing. But even so, like, that was all about manifest destiny and, like, pursuing capitalism and trying to enforce, like, our belief systems on other people. To be fair, the other side was doing the exact same thing and just as aggressively, so it kind of makes sense that happened. But, you know, history tends to be censored. Granted, we're lucky because at least here in America, you can learn about the things that they kind of try and hush up in school. A good example of what you can't do is in China, look up Tiananmen Square. For instance, that phrase, whatever there, like, I feel sorry. Anyone who's in China who happens to be trying to watch this, good luck. Now that I've mentioned that. But that, the date passed recently, like a day or two ago, like the anniversary of that event, and nope, you don't hear a peep. They never talk about it. And, you know, that's because, like, there's the idea that you need to convince the people that they are part of something that is good and righteous, and you know, so it's easier to just cover up the things that happened that were not so great, because that helps keep people satisfied. So we all do it, but I gotta say, Japan, I mean, we've done some heinous things. Heck, we even did heinous things to Japanese people. We had our own version of concentration camps like Hitler's, except we didn't have massacres at them. But they still were pretty bad of Japanese people because we were terrified that there were going to be spies amongst the populations that had moved over here. But then Japan did some pretty terrible stuff in their campaigns in China and Mongolia. So, I don't know. If you happen to be Japanese, I hope you take the time to keep looking at history and accept the bitter pill that is the flaws and mistakes that have been made by our predecessors. We all have them. We all have things that we have to be ashamed of, but it's far better to be in the know and understand, like, what happened, because the alternative is ignorance, and in ignorance we repeat the mistakes of the past, just like Arara is. Anyway, there were Arara study materials. She silently stepped away from her desk and immediately jumped back into the bed. She buried her face in her pillow.
いやー、ほんともうね、そういうんじゃないんですけどね。
Arara, are you really happy?
なんか別にそんな嫌じゃないんだけど、唐突に出されると引いちゃうものってあるじゃないですか。甘くない野菜ジュースとか。
That is pretty gross.
あれはそう、そんな感じですから。だから別に絶対無理とか拒絶反応レベルというわけではないわけで。
This is bad.
ただ今は野菜ジュース、飲みたくないっていうか。
Excuses. She knew these to be mere excuses, but she just couldn't help herself. The value of vegetable juice depended entirely on its health benefits, and the value of studying depended entirely on its life benefits. They held similar properties, at least to Marisagawa Arara. She was painfully aware of it, but right now even glancing in the direction was... She started fiddling with her smartphone. By directing her attention elsewhere, she was able to flee from the anxiety that floated above her like an evil spirit. Perhaps that quick escape route wasn't good enough. Uh-oh, for its path brought Marisagawa Arara face to face with a different kind of demon. Number 1 hypothesis and reevaluation. Time, 2000-something, April 00, 9:23. Name, Albedo. Wow, what? Okay. I'm unsure of how lowly the unmarked are, but Chuusotsu seem to think they could ignore all the troubles. However, there are things that won't go their way. They're too stubborn and simple-minded to realize this. Wise citizens, it is now time. Oh, it's like a broadcast. Now is the time. We live in an age where the unmarked ones known as Chuusotsu are perfecting their art of embarrassing foolishness. If they had contained their absurd charades to the internet, we'd be able to laugh this off. It is easy to pass off rowdiness done in the dead of night. Yet now society itself comes to recklessly protect the extreme foolishness known as the Chuusotsu lifestyle. For those that realize their own lack of knowledge on the subject, I urge you to look through all the posters, view news sites, and study the reports of scientists. Those that we call unmarked, in other words, those without authority seals, are in fact two groups of people. One is a group of people who lost their jobs due to misfortune. The other is a group of people who are too lazy to even get a job in the first place. The former is a hotly debated topic. There are those who took the compatibility exam as mandated by the P3 law and acquired a seal but lost it due to sickness or injury. These I claim as acceptable. Then there are those who gained a seal and a job but through infractions and penalties lost points and thus their seals. These I find unacceptable. They have reaped what they have sown. As such, I declare that they should receive no protection. And then we come to the final case, the lazy ones who never held a job. Plainly, this is a problem faced by society as a whole. These people exploit the kindness of the World Federation's great leader, General K, feeling neither remorse nor shame at their weak and slothful actions. Those who are too lazy to work have either refused the exam or outright skipped it. Of course, the compatibility exam is mandatory to all citizens as provided by the B3 law. Every person who takes it is either assigned a job or school to advance their education. This system is a pillar on the world's harmonic balance. Why have they refused the test and failed to obtain their seals? The reason is clear. They harbor the flawed notion that working is bad. To put it simply, their parasitic idea of being jobless and playing all day is an easy way to live that has left them with the intelligence and imagination of livestock. This is why they openly admit their crimes and upload evidence of it to Twitter. Anything beyond the fleeting pleasures of the present is beyond their comprehension. These people don't suddenly become like this. They are born this way. Well, that's one way to take, extrapolate, taking evidence of one thing but then pulling it out and then generalizing it to all. They are natural born fools. That's why they fail the compatibility exam at the end of their mandatory education period. It could be intentional or due to a destructive lack of self-discipline on their part. They make no effort to work or fulfill any kind of duty, and instead choose to live their lives in idleness. Do you see now, dear citizens? This is what we call Chuusotsu. They are the kind of people that present-day society is trying to force us to support. The kind of people society wants to give a fair chance to, along with an opportunity at re-evaluation. They say that a fair complexion hides all faults, but are they truly that so fair? Do you not find them as hideous and as toxic sludge? Let us wipe away this pollution. Let us bleach it out. It must be done. Whoa, this is getting freaking purgy. The response to Albedo's post were filled with cries of support.
正直言って言葉が難しくてほとんど理解できないけど
Arare came to an abrupt realization.
これってもしかして恋もやたら長文なことも全てが私たちへの当てつけ考えすぎかもしれないけどなぜだか中卒の目を意識して書いてるようにも見える
Interesting. She had a few reasons for feeling that way.
中卒をバカにする部分だけ私たちにも分かるように書いてある
That is a very sophisticated slander.
お前らは再検査なんか受けるなってそう言ってるように見える
Blood rushed to her head. She had one other thought.
なんか変な感じタイムリープで記憶はリセットされて基本は同じことの繰り返しなのに
Yeah.
中卒叩きだけは周回重ねるたびにエスカレートしてるみたい
I was worried about this too. The main proponent of this phenomenon was Albedo. His reasoning was obviously skewed, but this seemed to be more in line with the online theoretical terrorism. It seemed that the other posters were being egged on by Albedo.
このアルベドって人
Arare did a little self-reflection, comparing herself to what Albedo said. And in doing so, she felt that her own actions bore a certain resemblance to Albedo's vision of Chuusotsu. This created a burst of anger within her. Without thinking, she reached out to post on the forum. Oh no. I think you're being too harsh, Albedo. I think it's okay for Chuusotsu to take a re-evaluation. Who is this? Reading that made my head hurt, lol. Wait, are you a Chuusotsu? No way, really? Chuusotsu incoming. And if Albedo was here, he would have gotten this would have gotten interesting. Is it fun to make fun of me? Is it fun to make fun of me? There's a reason some people become Chuusotsu. I'm a Chuusotsu, and I think you should think about how hard some people are trying to live. Your typing is seriously making my eyes bleed. The spelling and grammatical mistakes really make it obvious. It pains me to say this, but this guy must be a Chuusotsu. I think you may be misunderstanding our viewpoints. We do not take pleasure from criticizing Chuusotsu like yourself. Pardon me for saying this, but we are simply discussing that the current regulations for handling reevaluations are inappropriate and need to be corrected. See, that's the problem, is like, I see myself in that one, but isn't that still kind of in the wrong? I mean, they're trying to be more balanced, but it kind of is coming from an elevated point, but is it also wrong to want to defend your platform? Like, this really calls into question, like, communication, like, and this is something we're kind of trying to face with the internet. Like, the internet pulls back inhibitions and allows people to say whatever they want. So it's like, at what point do you need to, like, how much should we watch what we say and how much should we not watch what we say? We should be able to express ourselves, but at the same time, should we be allowed to call for an effective potential genocide of a subculture? Like, these are weird lines that we have to try and figure out the answers to. None of us, including Albedo, are going to even petition the government, but understanding something and accepting it are two different things. So we are aiming to collect and organize a general opinion on the matter by bringing out extreme cases. Huh, that Chuusotsu stopped responding. To be once... What? Oh, it's honest, but without an H. Honest, I studied a lot during middle school and worked really hard now for reevaluation, so I wish you wouldn't forget that there are people like me. I just couldn't read more than 3 lines, lol. No, it really is time for you to give up. If you can't get that, then you'll force us to play along with you. Very well, let's debate this. Chuusotsu, try to keep up. Okay then, I'll first talk about how much my life I've put into the reevaluation. Oh no.
なるほど。そんなことが。
Yeah, this isn't good.
そうなんですよ。どう思います？この後だってほら、私に読めないような長文で一方的に攻めてきて、こっちは理性的に意見を言ってるだけなのに。
Oh wow.
花から討論にはならないでしょう。だって同胞、中卒だし。
いやいや、同じ立場のあなたがどうしてそんな言い草を。
同じ立場だからこそ言える。要は数の問題です。不特定多数が自由に発言できる場で、総論的にはアウェイもいいところ。
This is the fruitlessness of debating online in certain circles.
初めから同胞の発言は発言として機能しない。
There needs to be a level of communication and a desire to actually like understand each other. But on the internet, it's too easy to just disregard what you don't like or to block out people who say things you don't agree with. And it's so dangerous. It's a slippery slope that we've been seeing. It's causing these major divides because more and more people give themselves in echo chambers where they just keep hearing and enforcing their own opinions, and they're not giving credence or like lending an ear to the opinions of others, instead building them up as fools or unintelligence or I don't know, they throw around terms like millennials or youngsters, Generation Z, or like I don't even know what the terms is nowadays, honestly. Like I try and keep away from all of that, so I'm not really caught up on all the modern lingo for it all, but like essentially, do you see what I'm trying to say? The more polarized we let ourselves get, the more dangerous it is, because then we stop actually thinking about our positions and just accept the positions of everyone around us because they sound pleasing or mostly in line with what we think.
サンドバッグになること受け合いなのは同胞も分かっていたことでは？
そりゃそうかもしれませんけど。
加えて言えば正論しか言ってないから。
正論？それ本気ですか？この人たちの言ってることってただの決めつけじゃないですか？まるで中卒は将来を直視しないからいい加減な人生になってるっていうような。
Arara, you do that.
同胞は直視してるです。将来とやら。
してますよ。
She better to gaze.
それって同胞がここに書いた再検査に向けて努力してるってやつ？
それは本気で打ち込むのが決定していることだから、その気持ち的にはすでに始まってるわけで。
Come on, Aure, you gotta face this.
そうです。小色さん。
あのさ、アルエ。 アルエは本当に再検査を受ける気があるの？
何言ってるんですか、小色さんまで。そんなの愚問ですよ。
うん、聞いたよ。いずれ始めることだから、今も自分は努力してるって言いたいんだよね。
Don't get too hurt. Listen to them.
でも、アルエはどんな時も漫画のことばかり考えてる。私はそれを悪いことだとは思わないけどね。アルエが漫画を好きなこと、夢中になっていること自体は、けど良くないと思うこともあるよ。
Yeah.
それは
私自身、
海に行った日の夜、アララに手紙を渡せないアルエに言ったよね。伝えたいことは伝えなきゃダメだよって。それって自分自身にも言えることだと思うんだ。気持ちをはっきりさせた方がいいんじゃないかな。アルエの中で再検査はどんな存在なのか。
Yet again, Koiro coming down with the wise words.
それは、再検査は私の罪滅ぼしの手段ですよ。義務と言ってもいいかもしれません。うまくいけば結果的にシールがもらえて人生を軌道修正できるわけですから、自分のためとも言えますけど。
罪滅ぼしの手段って、もしかして自分が楽になりたいっていう理由？
おかしいですか？
Hmm.
自分のせいで被害を被った人がいて、その人たちに罪滅ぼしをしたい。詫びを入れただけじゃダメなんです。自分がきっちり苦労して痛い思いをしなきゃ私の心は晴れないんです。
But are you struggling? Are you suffering?
けど、それじゃあ辛い思いをするのが目的になっちゃうよ。
その通りですよ、小井戸さん。私は最低人間の私に落とし前をつけさせたいんです。
Ah, that's the biggest lie right there, isn't it? Sometimes we tell ourselves that, like, there's no hope, that we are what we are and that's all we're going to be, that we consign ourselves to a, well, that's just how my life is and there's nothing I can do about it. Whether that be physical limitation, mental limitations, like, it's that idea that, like, or like when we make mistakes, like I can think of mistakes like, I've never really done this one, but like I know people who have made mistakes relationship-wise, like where they've cheated on somebody. Even if it didn't go like all the way, kind of cheating, it's like still when you have that moment you made that decision, it affects the way you see the rest of the like relationships. One of the biggest reasons why people suddenly get really, really paranoid about someone cheating on someone cheating on them is because they've cheated at some point in their past, maybe even at that time, and it makes them paranoid because they're terrified that what they feel like they're getting away with, somebody else will get away with them too. It's this, we have this fear in us that like if we make a mistake, that mistake becomes a part of us, and that's just the way life can be. It's an easy way to not have to face our problems and try and deal with them, and it's such a common thing. I think we all tend to do it, and we have to fight that.
そうでもしなきゃ家族に顔向けして生きていけないから。自分本位の罪滅ぼしっておかしいかな？
No, I find it unhealthy.
おかしくないよ。おかしくないけど寂しい。
小色さん、ちょい顔貸して。
She stood up.
どこか行くんですか？なら私も。
悪いけど、二人だけで話がしたいので。
Rejection. A conversation that didn't include her. One that most certainly was going to be about her. The two of them, alone. Aure felt cold sweat trickling down her skin.
気を悪くさせたなら謝ります。謝りますから。
She tried to stop them. desperately. But even so, they still left.
また一人ぼっちになっちゃうのかな。
あらら、どうして二人きりなの？
同胞は少し頭を冷やした方がいい。
I don't know.
それにあんな同胞は見ていてつらい。とにかくこのままでは良くないと思うです。
I agree.
うん。私もそう思う。
It's weird, I kind of feel like I'm a part of this group now.
タイムリープを繰り返せば確かに哲学の課題からは逃れられる。アララたちはこのままずっと一緒にいられる。でもそれでは永久に世界統括者は倒せないし、来週のジャンプすら読むことができない。
Yeah.
タイムリープというけれど、これじゃあ時間が止まっているのと同じです。
どうにかしよう、あらら。
もちろん、当然、同胞も一緒に。
Good, let her know that. She's really not feeling great right now. Alright, I think that's where we're going to stop for here. Oh, this is going to be quite a hill to climb. I can already feel it. It's going to be quite a disaster on our hands, but it's necessary. We need them to face this. Thank you so much for being here today. My throat's definitely feeling the effects of this. Hopefully I can get it back before next Monday, but we'll see. Could be delays on the future videos. Just depends on how bad this cold gets for me. Trouble is that when I get a cold and then I make a video, I tend to hurt my own voice, so could be a disaster. I'll give it a rest and hopefully get better. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, especially with all my ranting. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and until the next video, watching me or ever see me in next. I'll see you there.